And I am pleased to welcome to the 2025 edition of Statehouse Conversations, Representative Kendell Culp. He's a Republican from Rensselaer, District 16. And I should point out, you're also, in addition to all these titles, you're the only full-time farmer in the House of Representatives. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right. Well, thank you. My midsection and I thank you. What are your district is largely rural, agricultural, and
Exactly.
it probably, I'm guessing those are issues that are going to weigh heavy on your agenda this session. Talk about that.
They are. My district's in northwest Indiana, parts of 4 counties, very rural, like you said. There are 3 cities, and even those are very rural. So I'm focusing this time on really issues that will strengthen our rural communities. And of course, agriculture is such a large part of our rural communities and the economy. That's usually the driver, especially smaller towns, is where there's not a lot of employment opportunities, or not a lot of industry. They rely on agriculture for that tax base. We're coming into a time where the agriculture economy is fairly weak right now, and so profitability is minimal. Actually, land values in Indiana, according to a recent Purdue study, have now turned around and started to go down and decrease. And so there's just not a lot of cash and financial stability in a lot of these farms. So we need to make sure that we keep our farms, family farms, whole. And the best way to protect our farms is to protect the farmers that are operating those farms.
And if you had a couple things you want to see happen this session in that regard, could you elaborate on those?
Sure. I have a bill that's going to be heard in Ways and Means to adjust the base rate of farmland. And so there's a kind of a unique formula that's used. It actually was formulated by Purdue that takes into account cash rental prices, commodity prices, and interest rates. And so as we continue to have those land values increase, our commodity prices are decreasing because this formula looks back 6 years and takes an average of those 6 years. We've had some pretty high years, commodity price in those 6 years, that don't reflect today's financial stature. So part of the concern is we're looking so far back to smooth out the peaks and valleys. We're looking too far back, and now we're not reflective of really what's happening today on the farm. So my proposal is they look back 6 years and drop the high year. I'm suggesting we drop the 2 high years to be more reflective today, because today's poor economy doesn't aid us to pay those higher costs per acre, the tax costs that really we're seeing today. So.
And would you say that there's a looming crisis? Is the American farmer, as we sort of know it, and it's so familiar and is a part of American fabric, and certainly the fabric of this state, is it an endangered species almost?
Well, I certainly wouldn't use the word crisis, but I think it's noteworthy that's concerning. 96% in the U.S. of farms are owned or operated by family farmers, which is very encouraging. However, there is a mass consolidation happening in agriculture today. So just because you say 96% are family farmers, it doesn't mean they're small family farmers. And so what's happened in a lot of cases, if a farmer's retiring, there's no family there to back him up, maybe that land is sold or rented, and so it's sold to another farmer who is a lot larger in many cases. Not a bad thing, but economies of scale, and with the financial situation we have today, it's forcing that expansion and consolidation.
And the key, and I'm guessing as you would see it, is to keep it in the hands of farmers, whether it's regardless of scale, because we've seen so much farmland. I mean, I grew up in Indianapolis and in the suburbs, and I know I look around and I say, I remember when that was a farm. I remember when that was a farm.
Right.
I mean, are we at risk of maybe losing some of the precious farmland we have?
Well, certainly around our growth areas in Indiana, around the Indianapolis metro area, the suburban, the donut counties, that's certainly a concern, and we see that a lot. I actually have a bill that was heard yesterday in the House Ag Committee that would create a program, a land protection program. So as a landowner, if you're concerned about expansion or sprawl and you want to keep your farm a farm, you can voluntarily donate your conservation easement rights, which means that development outside of agriculture cannot occur on that for future generations. So I really believe, in a lot of states, they pay for those development rights. I'm not asking for an appropriation here, but I believe there's enough people that would want to donate that to keep that family farm heritage intact. And I think a good example is, I know there's people that inherited grandma's farm, and maybe they live out of state and they're an absentee landowner, but they have really fond memories of that farm, and they want to make sure that grandma and grandpa's tradition and heritage is continued for generations to come. And if they would donate those conservation rights, easement rights, then that would be protected in the future.
Lots to watch in the coming 4 months. And I didn't grow up on a farm, but as you can see, I'm the beneficiary of much of your good work.
Well, so, hopefully all of us are, yes.
Representative Kendell Culp, Rensselaer, District 16, Republican, thank you for taking time to chat with us about your hopes for this session, and thank you for your commitment to public service in the state of Indiana as well.
Well, my pleasure. Thank you.